Hi, so for this week, our discussion question is to describe um, how we would train our staff on Code 4.0. And 4.0 is talks about behavior change programs. And the way that I would start off would be first describing each of the codes and kind of what they mean and breaking it down into simpler terms for the staff so they have a better understanding. So the first code is 4.01, conceptual consistency and following through. So this basically means just following the behavioral principles when writing a behavior program. 4.02 is involving clients and planning and consent. So this is just making sure that the client is always present whenever there is planning being made. Also, they may not have a lot to say, but making sure that they're there and at least involved in some of what is being planned in their treatment plan. Also, Code 03 is individualized behavior change programs. So making sure that the behavior change program is specific to that child, not cookie cutting it from like another client that's in the program, because that just would not be ethically right. Also, 4.04 is approving behavior change programs, and this would just be making sure that the parents and also the client has an understanding of the changes that are being made in the program, and just being able to describe or just informing them what's going on. Also, 4.05 is describing behavior change program objectives, and this is just being able to describe to the parents and client why this program is in place, being able to explain, why we chose a specific program. 4.06 is describing conditions for the behavior change program's success. So this is being able to set up the environment to make sure that the behavior programs that are in place will be successful for the client. That may mean that we would have to explain to the parents why we might be moving certain things, such as like their toys. That's going to be maybe possibly a higher reinforcement for the child. So being able to remove access freedom, or available access at all times, being able to have using it as a reinforcer, and explaining that to the parents. That's why you're removing that item. 4.07, environmental conditions that interfere with implementation. Sometimes, things will happen. This could possibly happen with parents not really fully understanding why we're doing what we're doing and may intervene from time to time. That's just one example. 4.08 is considerations regarding punishment procedures. So making sure that the punishment procedure is always the last procedure we even try, just due to more aggression will occur. And we always want to try to use reinforcement first, no matter what. So just trying to make sure that a punishment procedure is like the very last procedure that we ever try using. 4.09 is the least restrictive environment. So making sure if we do use least restrictive environment, it's not interrupting with any of the reinforcement, and also being able to provide that choice and freedom of choice for the client, and making sure we're not just putting them in the timeout room before we try anything else whenever behavior seems to sometimes get out of control. 4.010 is avoiding harmful reinforcement. So just making sure that the reinforcers that we're using are not harmful. Making sure that if we do use edibles, making sure that we're overusing edible reinforcements. Or I know in the ethics books they mentioned that the tobacco use, making sure we're not doing that. Just give them iPad, access to toys, maybe TV, something other than something that's harmful to them. Or even just climbing on top of the roof might not be a good reinforcer to use. And then also 4.11 is discontinuing behavior change programs. and also behavior analytic services. So just making sure that whenever a client does discontinue services, there is a fading procedure, and we just don't drop services immediately. So that's my training, being able to describe all the codes to staff in a simpler way. Thanks.